Winspiration, the way to the essential. On UK Health Radio, Winspiration brings wisdom and information for an extraordinary future. Together, we can shape the world we want to live in. So let's get real and create the idea. Be extraordinary. Hello and welcome to another Winspiring Hour. I am Wolfgang Sonnenburg and your host today. So, as you know, we just started here on Winspiration Radio, UK Health platform. So we're just also in a little bit of a testing. And as I'm not a professional presenter in radio, so I like to have communication with people I like to interview here before the show, just to get them to know better. The guest we have today, I know for years, but anyway, I wanted to talk with her before. And it ended up in having a very inspiring, winspiring hour. And so we decided to take this recording and present it to you. So it is so inspiring, and I want that you listen and see, wow, what is possible, how to bring kids in really in a super state. My guest, Tammy Vallieres, is from background a teacher, worked in kindergarten, and over the last 10, 20 years, she developed a program, and it's about the hero inside, recognizing the hero inside. And today, she is, I can really agree with her, she is the only one on planet Earth who is capable of doing this kind of incredible work with kids to creating powerful, self-centered, self-realizing kids. So it is a wonderful to watch your work. So I invite you to listen today to this interview, which was not planned. Make notes, give us feedback, because we would love to invite her again if you're interested. And if we have questions from you, it would be great. So now, Tammy Vallieres from Toronto, the master teacher, today teaching also teachers how do the best for the kids that they can grow up in their full power and be extraordinary. Okay, enjoy. But now I said, oh yeah, now I'm ready. We are ready. So it's a step to go international with all the inspirational ideas for an extraordinary future. What do we need to change in our thinking and the society and companies, and for sure in education? And so I will start preaching what I think. Yeah, what is real win-win and what is win-lose and lose-lose. And if you see the old systems clashing now, yeah, so it's beautiful somehow. It's just awful how unnecessary blood is flowing. And so, but there is also, like you shared, a lot of positive stuff going on. And so we want to have a kind of good news for the extraordinary future, teaching about morphogenetic fields, collective, subconscious fields and everything, and give them different ideas what they can do. For example,
can I just say, I love this because I just did a flyer. My flyer and invitation is going from the ordinary to extraordinary. So that's what we want to take schools and going from ordinary schools to the extraordinary schools. And that's what the hero's journey is. It's we leave the ordinary world and we go on the journey to extraordinary. So even if we want to, let's say, use that lingo, that tagline, that would be, I just wanted to make a mental note because it's like that we're in the same alignment and language right now too.
Yeah, super. Yeah, there's just one part of the old vision to one day in the world we have an extraordinary future forum.
Right.
Well,
and we're all about creating heaven here on earth. So whether you create that within your own inner world first, and then we help children create the utopiary oasis in their own classroom. And that's where it doesn't have to be the whole world yet, but we start with our inner world, and then we start in our classroom world, and then we create it within the school, and then that inspires other schools to want to create heaven on earth in their environments.
But terminology, a little difference. I think it's not about creating heaven on earth. We are already in heaven. We just need to realize it.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. So it's just, we're blind. We're not looking.
Yeah. We don't realize it's all here.
Yeah. It's like we play hell in heaven. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And the reason why I use that language is because of my little book, Jeffrey Finds His Way, and he's looking from heaven's gates. And his dream in his heart is to help children on Earth School realize their genius, their superpowers, their star power on Earth, like they all do in heaven, right? Where Joseph, the master teacher, angel Joseph, sees every angel and their shining gifts and brilliance in heaven, and that's exactly it. It's not a separation of the two worlds. It's exactly that. It's all inside of us. But how do we dive deeply within ourselves to awaken that, to bring it into full form? And you know, Wolfgang, what came to me, because when I was called to do this online course, it was the word that I woke up to at 3 o'clock in the morning was, you will never enter heaven's gates until you enter through the eyes of a child. And it became about our return to our inner child, because it's our inner child who knows that we're perfect, whole, complete, resourceful, and all-knowing. It's our inner child that knows we were born brilliant. It is the lies and all the paradigms, right, that we have been told over time that we forget, and we buy into the lies. And so it's about the returning back to our inner child and coming back to the truth of who we are. And that's the journey, and letting go of all of those old conditions.
I can't say I remember right, but wasn't it that 2,000 years ago someone said you should become a child again?
Right? Yeah, like a child.
Yeah, but that's the difference between childish and child. People don't understand it really, what saying.
Yeah.
I have a kind of, what do you call it? Kind of a written joke, caricature, do you say it in English as well? And it's a park bench, Jesus sitting on the bench, and an earthling. An earthling, a little bit stressed, talks to Jesus. Why do you allow all these bad things to happen here on earth? And Jesus said, interesting. I just wanted to ask you the same question.
Exactly. You have to bring that, because that's funny. And that's exactly it, right? Like, we just forget of who we are. And this is why I love connecting it to the NASA study where George Land did. And when he did, I don't know if I shared that with you, where he did an assessment. He was looking for geniuses in NASA, and they did the aptitude test, and they realized that 4 and 5-year-olds were young enough to take this test. And when they did it, what they found out is that there was children at 4 and 5 are 98% geniuses.
Yeah.
And as they go through the system and through life, you know, they went from 98% geniuses, this longitudinal study, to 30% geniuses at age 10. And by age 15, they dropped to 12% geniuses. And by age 30, we're now down to 2% geniuses. So we lose our genius, we lose our sparkle, we lose our gifts, all of that, right? Because we forget we're born geniuses. We're born.
Yes, well, we say still some interest in the 2% or whatever to make us stupid, because that's the way how they ruled us for years. Huh?
That's
centuries.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is why I love the work that we were doing with you and Bob Proctor and Zege International, because it was about the paradigms. and all the belief systems. But I needed that training. I needed to go through that pathway so I could come back into the education system and help to piecemeal it all together.
Yes. And I'm really, I was really happy, and I found it overwhelmed because, we started in Nigeria, the project, and in the beginning, they were all victims. We can't do anything there. Look at the environment, no chance here, da, 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 da. And what is today? The young kids write a book, write articles. My hero is a hero, Tammy from Toronto, and they want to change the mind of what they see the world. So it doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter about circumstances. If they get a different perception, it's incredible what can happen. Huh?
Yeah, I love it. And that's why my work has always been so in alignment with the work that you're doing with Winspiration Day. And, our paths weren't by accident, that we connected. And we've got that history to go back to with the Heroes book and with Winspiration Day, because we did that fast, Wolfgang, and we did a great job. Within like a short period of time, we launched that and we made a huge impact.
Yeah. Yeah. The next 7th of May is coming.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's super. And it's part of that, what we are talking now. What I'd like to have then in the interview, and that you share a little bit more, that people understand what you do, how you do it, what can the impact, and ideally having an address, or where can people, if they want, connect.
Yeah.
Book, or can I be where in my region is someone, or whatever.
So what I'm doing, and just to give you a little highlight of what I'm doing with Star Hero Academy right now, is I went on that journey, like I said, 2 years of COVID, and I found people around the world that were my favorite people. And I was like, okay, this person is shining brighter, and we align with the common vision. So we created Star Hero Academy, and we've got a mompreneur in California. We've got a teacher in a Montessori school in Florida. We've got Simon, who is the principal and founder of 2 schools here in Ontario. And we've got Amit, whose daughter was part of our Awaken Your Inner Hero book. He's an entrepreneur and a business entrepreneur and a mompreneur in Florida. And she's raising 3 kidpreneurs. And those kids were the star out of 150 kids around the world at Genius U ran. Her kids won the top prize. So I was like, who is the super mom, and how did her children become these super incredible souls? And her youngest, her son, who is Kid CEO, is running his own podcast. He is like a full-on entrepreneur at age 15. So she's just raising these incredible youth. And now she's part of my business team and part of our program. So we now created Kindergarten Masterclass Hero Intelligence Certification, and we've got 24 participants in total, and it's in 3 countries. And what I've realized is that if we want to change children and the school system, it first starts with the educator.
Always, yeah.
Always. So we did, and if we want to change them, we have to change and help them return back to their inner child.
Yes.
Go through their own hero's journey so that they're showing up as the hero, not their victim or their villain. And so they lead by example, that they then can deliver the program in integrity and through their transformation, so that they can make a powerful impact and change the children at home, in school, or in daycares, one class, one room, one school at a time. So that's kind of where my company is and what we're doing, and we just started it September.
Super.
Yeah. So it's really cool.
You still go to school, or you're just more like CEO of the company?
So yeah, I'm the co-founder. I'm also the visionary, so I brought everybody in with me, and we're leading with my course first because we're using that. But I teach half-time, so I teach 3 kindergarten master classes a day, and then when I come home, that's why I'm early. I'm able to be home early. I teach in the morning, and then I come at the end of the day, and I build the company and the business now. So I've got one foot in education, and then I've got the other foot in rebuilding education.
Yes, super. Yeah. Yes, so interesting. But you need to then talk about a little bit more about your book, A Little Hero,
So
the
we start
whole
with
story.
kindergarten, Wolfgang, because kindergarten is the foundation.
Yeah,
And we want to hold them in that space
yeah.
and then scaffold. So we maintain masterclass and the personal growth and development from each grade. And what it is it's a 50-minute block. So just like a coach, right? You don't teach them and hold them into excellence all day long. It's 50 minutes of excellence. So we are here to help them grow their 3 super brains, their head brain, their heart brain, and their gut brain, so they can become the best that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
In kindergarten, if I showed you new videos, you'd be blown away because the program just keeps getting better. And right now I have 3 kindergarten classrooms that are literally, I don't have one behavior, one identified, one nothing. They are literally perfect souls, and every one of them are little leaders for me. It's the easiest class you would ever walk into in your life. And honestly, you almost can't believe the behavior. It's surreal.
Yeah.
And that's because they're so self-motivated. They want to lead and they want excellence amongst each other. And the structure, my skills and my program have become so well refined that it's incredible now. So, I mean, you thought it was good before, you should see it now. And it's like shock value. So it's really beautiful. In 25 years, I've never seen this in my life, because usually there's one, right, or two, but I don't even have one upsetting the apple cart. They are all showing up as leaders. So we start with the foundation. It's a 50-minute block, 4 days a week, just like the movie Coach Carter, if you've ever seen it. That one coach and that one class, basketball, is then transferred into their entire life, whether it's school, academics, future. And so you don't need the whole day. What you do need is consistency, and you need to hold them in excellence so that they can see what's possible. So I call it like the Olympic training for kids, right? And so my goal now is to train these trainers all around the world, and then have them deliver the program and work within their schools, at home, daycare, or school, whether it's homeschooling, the classroom, or daycare centers. And then, but they have to transform themselves, because I say peace begins with me. We either bring the peace or the calm, the chaos or the calm, depending on our energy, because energy is contagious. So if they are in a very chaotic place within, they're going to be bringing that energy to their classroom. And so I do everything through the STAR program. And the STAR represents 4 things. So the S in STAR represents stories, because when we teach children through stories, they remember it and they understand stories. From the beginning of time, stories move us, impact us, inspire us. And children remember facts and information if it's told in a story, up to 90%. If it's told in a fact, they'll remember maybe 15%. So we remember stories. The second thing is, as we teach them through stories and we inspire them, it shifts their thinking. So the T in STAR reflects thinking. When we shift their thinking, now something happens internally to us, and now they're self-motivated. They're not doing it because they have to, they're doing it because they want to be, because they believe it to be true, and we operate from our beliefs. Yes. So the stories shift the thinking of the children. The A in STAR represents adaptability. When we help them to use these stories, and they can now adapt, they can change and alter the stories in a way that the stories are happening for them, or their situations in life are happening for them, not to them, then these help the children with the R become resilient. So as they learn these stories, they shift their thinking, they move into adaptability, and they go into resiliency. And so the whole program is taught through storytelling, and it's a scaffolding. So what I do is I teach through animal school. And I teach them that would it be fair and of equality if we had one school for all the animals? Would it be fair to have just a forest school? And the kids are like, no, Miss Vallieres. What about the ocean animals, right? Or the air animals? So I said, exactly. And this is where we come in with, you know, Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will believe its whole life it's stupid. So then we do 3 schools in kindergarten throughout the year. We are, right now we're in our ocean world and we're learning all about the ocean animals. And then we're going to be moving into forest school. And we're going to learn all about the land animals. And we're going to end in space camp, where we find our North Star. So we go and we find starfish, which is all our inner world. And we become self-smart. And we, on our journey to transformation, find our North Star at the end of kindergarten.
Super. Yeah.
So that's my program, and I'm teaching it to teachers now who are on the journey with me. They get to plug and play. They get to see the course and how I'm doing. I take footage and videos and everything each class. Like I'll go and upload that so they can see it. I do 2 Zoom calls a month where we do a deep dive. And then I also have an online course where they can go at their own pace. So that's basically what I'm doing to help certify these teachers, and at the end they'll be certified kindergarten masterclass teachers and educators.
Super, super. There is hope for the future.
Well, and they get to try this stuff out as they're learning it with me in their classroom or at home or in daycare, because that's how we learn. We gotta, and that's why it's a 10-month program, because you don't want to just learn it and then not apply the learning.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And it's like different modalities, right? 2 calls, they're getting the mentorship from me. They get to see it in the Facebook group and build the conscious community and see everything I'm doing. And then they get to go on their own hero's journey, which is their own personal transformation. So I wanted to make sure it was multidimensional, multiple intelligences, supporting all the pathways. So it's taken a lot of time and a lot of work, but 25 years of my life's work now, it's got a beautiful structure. And the other thing, Wolfgang, why I'm doing is there are guides in the program that are offering their expertise. So for example, we have a vice principal who is retired now, and she is a life coach helping. Once a month, she's doing coaching calls with anybody in the group, and they can work through any trolls or any limiting beliefs. So they're getting that in the course. And then there's other experts like proactive wellness experts. They're in and they do expert calls at the end of my 1-hour call. So they're all adding different expertise. So for example, if you came on as a guest speaker, you would come in with what your genius is. And what it is I've called it the goose. The Vallieres method is all about the V formation. And when geese fly in the V formation, it's shared leadership. Everybody gets a turn to lead. And geese are really mindful of using their voice. They honk to let people, the geese, know where they are in the line and to stay in integrity, right? And in alignment. Geese also, if a geese gets injured or wounded, they will fall back. 2 will fall back. So no goose left behind. So the concept of the V formation is that we are all geniuses. We all share in different leadership and we all take turns. When you're leading and now you're finished leading with your strength or you're tired, another goose will come in replacement and lead the pack. And when geese fly in formation, they actually conserve 70% of their energy. So it's working smarter, not harder, just like network marketing, right? So the concept of the goose, and they honk for, you know, using their voice, using their superpowers, and everybody takes different rotations. So that's one of our guardians on how I teach, is using the goose.
Super. Really exciting. Really exciting.
And that's why I love it, because it's fun, it's interesting, right? Kids love animals. And I've got 3 guardians that make up the triangle. And the triangle is the most powerful structure and shape in the whole universe. Because when you put pressure on each side, nothing can break it. So we teach about the triangle and the goose formation, and we have 3 guardians. So beaver, our Canadian beaver, is all around structures and foundations. If you don't have the right structure and you keep building, as you build and it's not in alignment, what happens to your tower? Right? It's going to fall. So we don't move forward until we understand and have mastery. So we slow and steady. And our 3rd foundation guardian is starfish. And why starfish? Because starfish connects us to our North Star, our way and our why. And starfish is at the bottom of the ocean, which is our inner world, is connected to our outer world. So and whatever's happening on the inside is a mirror reflection to our outer world. So when we use those 3 guardians, those 3 foundational animals to build the sound structure of the new education, this is how we're going to take education to a whole new universe. So that's our concept.
It's so great also, because with these examples, animals, it's a connection to nature. And
Right.
it's a big problem in the Western world that we're disconnected.
Right.
We humans think we are not belonging to nature.
Right.
We in the German-speaking language, we have we're talking not so much of environment, we call it nature protection. But
Right.
when I ask people, when the first time we are going now for nature protection, did you feel, oh, I'm protected? No, nobody. So we all so distant. So nature is just a resource thing for us, delivering something for food, and we are not understanding that we're nature. So if the kids really get this, oh, that this kind of animals, this kind of animals, we're just a different animal.
Right.
So then,
and how can we learn, right, Wolfgang? How can we learn from animals? Because how do the geese get from Canada all the way up to Europe, right?
Yeah.
There's a story of these geese flying, like I think to France. Intuition. What are we not using as people? We're not using intuition. And so it's healthy heroes for humanity, for people, the planet, and animals. And when we realize that we are all connected, and how can we learn about every animal's superpower so we can help and discover our own superpower? It's a language that first, children are more connected to animals before they are one another. And so if we build those stories through animal tales, and, from paw prints to handprints, inspiring the children's success, they get it. And they also understand to love and appreciate and value these animals, because the stories are not just fictional. Yes, some of them are, but we do a deep dive and we learn about geese and real geese. And what can we learn from geese? And beavers, what do we learn? Beavers create an ecosystem that doesn't just help them build their own house. They build an ecosystem that creates support for everybody in their habitat. So how can we learn and grow? And what about starfish? Starfish sparkles, right? Starfish is all about the star that we are, and that we're born with stardust. And how do we take that stardust that's inside of us, and how do we shine our light and inspire others? So there's all these. It's easy for me to remember because I get to teach through these stories and these animals. It's easy to teach it to others, and it's very foundational. It's 1, 2, 3. Who are our foundational guardian animals? And then I teach them who are the compass animals that help us find success. Those are our compass animals, which is A, B, C, D, E, F. And those animals help us to connect to our North Star. And we start with A for ant. And ant has an amazing attitude. So our attitude creates the altitude. If we don't have a good attitude, we could have a lot of skills, but our attitude is the most important thing in the whole world and universe, right? So all these things create the structure and foundation for skill set. If they have this, they can do anything, even if it takes them slow and steady. Turtle teaches us wins the race. And what I love about Roger Hamilton is when he talked about your winning and losing formula, I teach the story of the tortoise and the sea turtle. And I say, what is sea turtle's winning and losing formula? His winning formula is in the ocean, right? When he moves through the ocean, he's what? He's fast. But when sea turtle goes on land, he's really what? He's slow. And so when they have the race on land, who's at the advantage? The turtle or the hare? The hare, right? Because he's fast. But you know who wins the race? Not the hare, the turtle. Because even though he's faster, the rabbit, and he should win the race, he's got a losing attitude. And you know what he does during the race? He goes for a sleep under the tree. And that little turtle, who has a slow and steady, does his very best, even in the losing formula, he wins the race at the end. And what can we learn from those two animals? Now, if we had the race in the water, right? Who do you think is going to win the race? Sea turtle or rabbit? And here's the thing, even though it doesn't matter if you're in your losing formula, right? If you have a winning attitude, slow and steady, you'll eventually find your pathway to success, right? So you might not love where you are right now, but if you do your best and you show up with excellence, eventually that vibration is going to guide you into your pathway. So again, it's like watching the story McDonald's. If you do everything, flipping burgers perfect, what happens? He gives you another job and another job, and soon you're becoming the manager of McDonald's. Why? Because he showed up as his best. So this is all the things that we teach these children. They're the foundations. You know what? When I did my progress reports with my students, I said, let's give rabbit and let's give turtle a progress report. Who do you think's going to get the best progress report? Who's going to get the star and who's going to get the wish? And they're like, Miss Vallieres, we're going to give turtle the star because he's got his best attitude. I said, that's right. And I said, we're going to give rabbit the wish that he could do better. So when we're doing report cards and I'm talking about these stories, I'm helping it become relevant in the classroom. How do you think my students, Wolfgang, want to show up in the classroom? Do you think they want to be like the rabbit, or do you think they all want to be like turtle?
Yeah.
So I don't have to work very hard because they all want to be turtles and they all want a star. So working smarter, not harder. I literally have my class run the program for me. Once I do the heavy lifting at the beginning and I put the structure in place, I don't have to carry the class. The peer influence does it all for me.
Wonderful. Yes, so one of my saying, you don't need to do something really to make a plant grow. Just take care of the environment. Every plant by itself goes direction sun.
Yeah.
So that's what so often is done wrong. They pull and turn on them and not taking care of the environment. Yeah.
Well, and that's it. If everybody cleaned up their own backyard, I always say there's over 7 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
If we all just did one thing, we could change and transform one thing with 7 billion people all just doing one thing. That's how we create transformation. And that's not very hard. If you asked 7 billion people to pick up one piece of garbage, but it's when we ask 1,000 people to pick up 7 million pieces of garbage, it's too much work. And when the strong have to carry the weak on their back, the strong break their back and the weak forget how to use their legs. I will never forget that. To create a school community, a classroom, a home, is to ask every individual child to show up and be contributors, to help. Everyone, even if they did one little thing.
Yes. But that's so often, I would say, misunderstood.
Yeah.
And what we're not teaching. And I'm living in Switzerland now, and I feel such a difference because of the society system. Every community is run like a company. So they come together. It's like shareholders coming together, shareholder meeting. what do we want to do next year? What do we want to have next year? And then they create a budget. And from the budget, they decide the taxes, because they get taxes what they need. So in different communities, you have even different taxes, because different goals and this. But here on the street, it's clean, because nobody here is throwing dirt on the street.
Right.
They're even taking care of if a stranger is coming and doing something. Then Germany is old Kaiserland.
Right.
Yeah. So the land, nobody feels really I'm responsible. Yes.
Right.
The state can take care of it. And they pay taxes, but they don't get it, that they create the mess.
Right.
Now, like in the energy crisis, they ask a government, help me. And the government says, okay, we give you now a little bit of money. Where did the money come from? They go on debts, and the people need to pay it again. And they don't get it. They have two different states.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important what you teach there, really understanding the self-responsibility for everything. That's the only way we create a better living. I don't like the term, I want to have a better world. No, the world is okay. We are messing it up.
Right.
Yeah. So it's about really learn to live together better. Mm-hmm.
Right. I love that. And I love that you're conscious of the word choices, right? And how do you rephrase that in a way to bring more clarity? And exactly what you're saying. Do you know there's a community called St. Mary's in near Woodstock where I live. And one thing I noticed when I went there is there was not one piece of garbage on the ground. And you noticed it. I was like, I've never, like, I couldn't believe how clean it was. And I asked, I went in and I talked to, the coffee shop, the guy that I said, what happens? He goes, we're all responsible. Every single business owner will pick up and make sure. And because there is no garbage on the floor, we often find nobody will litter the town because you don't see garbage. When you see garbage, you think, oh, it becomes common practice, right? You throw it on the ground. But when you see no garbage, and then it's easy to maintain because it stands out like a sore thumb in that town. So I exactly see that. And they, as a township and as a community and a business sector, opted to do that. But I did notice it because it was unbelievable how clean that little town was.
Maybe you know the story, it's very important. Some say even McDonald's success was because they had clean toilets. But what very famous is Walt Disney. He didn't own the company by 100%. His brother Roy was 50-50, so they owned it. He was more the backup guy, the finance guy. And when Walt Disney said, I want to create parks for adults, Roy was so against it. And Walt was not allowed to do it in the Disney company. So he needed to mortgage his house and go to another TV and collect somewhere money that he could start setting up then Disneyland in Anaheim. And when it finally worked, Roy came and said, I couldn't imagine a clean park. Because all public parks were dirty and everything. And it's so amazing how this also decides business and quality of life.
Yeah. I love that you brought that in, that connection, because that's what I remembered about learning about the story of Walt Disney. And he made sure there wasn't one piece of garbage in that park, and it was spotless. And that is what, again, like you said, if we create the standards, if we create the expectations, and that's what it comes down to, you're basically, if you don't follow that, there's consequences. The reason why, when I expect the best from my students, and I call them master students and master teachers, and I say the hero in me sees the hero in you, and the star in me sees the star in you, and I expect them to show up as their best self in kindergarten masterclass. And because I love them, because I believe in them, because I know the truth of who they are, I know this is what you're capable and competent in and at. They meet me where my expectation is. So if our expectation is here for them, they'll meet us there. So it is about what do we expect of them? And then if we only have a 50-minute block, Wolfgang, where they have to show up as their best and they get to feel what that feels like doing their best. I don't have to convince them. The teacher in the rest of the subjects doesn't have to convince them to want to do better. Because that feeling of this feels good, I like how I feel proud, I feel respected, I feel smart. I say to them, what does that feeling feel? Does it feel light or does it feel heavy? And so I have a tool, I have a feather and I have a stone. And so I say, I want you to tell me how that feels when you make good choices and when you eat healthy foods and when you do acts of kindness and when you help others. And they said, Miss Vallieres, it feels light. I said, exactly. And when you do something that's hurtful and harmful to someone else, how does that feel? It feels heavy. So I don't label it as right or wrong, good or bad. Yeah. I help them identify with the vibration, the feeling of. And I said, if you want to feel lighter more often, we make better choices, don't we? But guess what? We're all going to make mistakes. And that's how we learn. We learn through contrast. We learn when this feels heavy and I tell a lie and I don't like how it feels. I don't want to tell that lie anymore because I want to feel light. So again, when we're what we think about, feel about, we attract about. So the more lightness in our life, the more lightness will attract experiences. The more heavy experiences. So you are the author and storyteller of your life.
Yes, super great. I'm using it not with say light and heavy, open or close. For me, it's the same. But what you said, not right, and so that's all judgment.
Yes,
that doesn't matter, and everybody should choose. But on the binary level we are living here, the cells can only open up or close.
Right.
How easy it is, like you said, to lie with open arms and feel totally open and happy. That's not possible. The more you do the wrong thing, you go more in tension and close. So heavy and close, or light and open.
And I have a visual for that too, Wolfgang. I could send it to you. And it says, when we're in the star self, our higher vibration, we are open. And I actually use the word open. And when we are in the lower vibration, when we're our villain or victim, we are actually contracted. And we feel that. So I use both the open and contracted, and I use light and heavy to help structure how we speak to children, because it's nothing's good or bad, it's all learning experience, right? So we need to learn from contrast, we need to make mistakes, we need to feel heavy so that we understand like hot and cold. It's like it's a level of reference and comfort comparison. So I want them to experience something so that they have that reference and guide, but then they decide, do they like feeling light or do they like feeling heavy better, or open or contracted, right?
Yes. But you triggered something else when you just experienced these days is the way we do business. And when for example, I have a company, I wanted to have a new website or whatever. So there is a kind of freelancer, whatever, self-employed person offering me something. The energy feeling is mostly, oh, Wolfgang has a big cake, so I need to go there to get a piece of his cake.
Right.
I deliver the website or whatever, I want a piece of his cake. But the idea, what you just shared with contribution of the kids and everything is, how can I contribute? So the next level of working together is not just a collaboration, it's more cooperation. What do we create together? And it's not so easy, but you find, if you look for people who come, okay, how can I help you to create a bigger cake or a new cake? Let's create something new together. And think what you are doing is really creating the basis that the kids getting directly this, how we can deal with this animals on the woods or whatever, how we can support each other, that everybody lives their strengths for their, we'll say, lighter, open life.
Yeah, I love it. And we do co-creation. So what I do with them is, as they learn in the classroom, the stories, then we do a gym activity where we go inside. So for example, we did the parachute, right? And I gave them a tangled up parachute that the grade 8s had just shoved into the bin. And I said, I want you guys to use your super brain, use a calm voice, talk to one another, and I'm going to give you this challenge. Now, I believe in you and I know that you can do it, but I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to micromanage. I'm not going to guide you, but I believe in you so much. I want to see if you can take this parachute, problem solve and work with one another, and bring it into a calm wave that a ship would want to sail on. So I gave them the challenge. So each day, each week, I give them different challenges so they get to embrace working together, talking to one another. And I'll say, use your super brain. What do you think you can do? And if you know, our little friends are year ones only, they're only JKS because they have never been to school before. Go and take their hand and guide them where they need to go. So my little leaders show up as leaders and guide and navigate, and without me interfering. And so I'll say, how are you going to take this bench? And if all of you guys pull the bench out from the wall, make sure that we've got friends on all sides, and we carefully, slowly, safety smart, move the bench to where we need to, put it down, make sure there's no feet underneath, and sit down. I'm going to time you on this. So I give them these challenges too on how to build that. And so now they embrace challenges and they look for opportunities and they're not afraid of it, and they learn to be successful. How do you think that transfers over into the playground? And so this, and at home. And I started to notice that these children, these little children were coming in after 6 years of teaching the program, and they were so incredible. And I thought, I bet you any money these siblings that are learning and teaching their little siblings at home, and they're bringing more value, and the home environment isn't as chaotic because the children are better, behaved. This is happening on their siblings. They're influencing their parents, their home. And now we're getting these kindergarten classrooms that are so incredible. And this is the dominoes effect. This is the rippling effect of when you hold a program like this in a place for long enough, it starts to carry over to their baby siblings, and they get to come in as the leaders and using their voice. And now we are noticing it's way easier to receive these children in the first years of school. Yeah. So this is the power that we can do, but it's all on how do they look at challenges? Do they look at them as scary and overwhelming? And even like we have a custodian, and he'll come in and he likes to turn the lights off and scare them and get the kids to scream. And I say, oh no, we don't scream. We are confident and courageous. And if he does do that, I want you to find your courageous self, and you're going to be really powerful, and you're not going to use your screaming voice. So let's see if he does it. He surprises us. None of us are going to scream. And so he'll come, he'll turn the lights off, calm as cucumbers. So it's like, again, giving them the muscle. I said, and if you feel extra scared, put your hand on your heart, and you know that your strength is from Jesus, because we are in a Catholic school, and Jesus or mommy or daddy is how we can find our confidence and strength. And we meditate this way, right? We always are there. And even for a fire drill, it's a loud sound. Are we going to be scared or courageous? We have a choice. We're going to be courageous. Where do you find our courage? Right here. So when they're in bed and they're scared of dreams or nightmares, again, they remember these things. It gives them the foundation that transfers over into their home life. And when these children are more grounded, they're helping impact their whole home as well. So this is all stuff that it's so powerful, and I've never seen so much incredible. They're like little mini Olympic champions, but socially and emotionally in intelligence. And if I had to hire somebody, as we know, this is where, these universities, these employers want to hire people with social and emotional intelligence, because we can learn skill set over time. Or they don't want us in here with the bad habits of skill set. They would rather teach us the right way and have the right attitude and the right energy coming into work environments and workplaces than people who think and overconfident on how they do things, and they're causing a rippling effect of negative energy and emotion.
Yeah. Yes. So it feels we can agree on that. We believe kids coming on this planet, the babies coming on this planet, deep inside, they're good.
Oh, yes.
So we train them to lose it all and be the badass in old life and fighting and learning, win, lose, and lose.
Yep.
But every soul wants to expand and want to deliver. And like we say with the wording of purpose, I serve the world by. So every animal serves on this way. Every plant serves in this way. We just need to allow them, and just not because we don't understand things, kill them because they're just annoying us. But it's our problem if we don't understand what nature is and how we could live beautiful together. Mm-hmm.
That's why I love nature, because nature is already in harmony, right? Animals are already in harmony with their intuition. And again,
Yes.
if people died, the world would reset itself back to this utopian world.
Yes.
So how do, instead of us being the dominant and causing so much havoc in nature and within the world, how do we become more and learn more from, plants and animals, and how they're already in alignment and in tune with nature, and become more like them, which is what this program does, and what I love about Win-Win and Winspiration Day. It's how are we all showing up? Because when we do this, we're all winners. People, planet, the animals, our habitat, we all win when we operate in harmony. And that's why I love about the geese formation and about geese, because they are working in collaboration, in harmony, in alignment, they all are going in the same direction, their vision, nobody left behind, all shared leadership. No longer are we in the knights table where there's a king and knights. We're all leaders. There is no hierarchy. We all have different things that we can lead with.
Yes.
Including children.
Yeah. Totally agree on it. Just we need to help some people, or because the power game most people are playing is just based on fear.
Right.
So, and it's just difficult also. I just saw kind of what I say, saying it's so much easier to help the kids grow strong than solve an adult or to help an adult who is what a kind of psychopath already. It's very tough to change them. Yeah. But they have the power at the moment. Right. They can use it. They get where the money is. They get the soldiers. So it's kind of fearful. But we saw, if it's Gandhi or Martin Luther King or whatever, we saw it always. Dictatorship will never survive because those people just organizing people, marching and not afraid of, love is stronger. Yeah. And I guess what you're doing there is an incredible work just in the beginning to make them strong. We today know enough how brain development is, how important the first years are, really to create something. So just thank you from my heart for your work you're doing, because this is the main thing what we need for the future. Really strengthen the kids, have them out of fear that nobody can manipulate them. If you take the light off, they don't scream or whatever. They live from their 3 brains, like you said it. And then the future can be kind of democratic future, because you can't manipulate them. Then they can really decide, what do we as a we culture really want?
Yeah, and I love that, because they become proactive instead of reactive, right? And so that's what it counts, is when you teach them, they have the power and the control and mindfulness of how do we want to respond or react in the situation. And it ultimately, what I'm creating is something called heroes Freedom League. And what does that mean? Is freedom is ultimately what we all desire as a soul. Children desire it. And if you think about police dogs or specialty animals that help the hearing dogs, what happens is you can take those animals anywhere in the world. You can take them in hospitals, you can take them in anywhere, because they have so much self-regulation. But the animal that you can't even take to the park because they want to growl and bite everyone, they have zero freedom. You have to have on a choking chain, right? So the whole point is, when I say to the students, listen, the better behaved you show up, the more freedom and leadership you get. But kind leadership. You don't get to lead if you're bullying. So all these things are set right from the very, very beginning, and it's foundational work. And that's the whole piece that I love. And Wolfgang, what I noticed when I was working with Genius U and all these amazing educators, I was the only one that was really taking this advanced stuff and doing it in kindergarten. Most of them were doing it in teens. So they were already in the corrective measures.
Yeah.
I hadn't really met anybody who was kind of in my lane that were doing it at the kindergarten level. And because I do 3 kindergarten classrooms a day, teaching over 80 kindergartens a day, and doing this for over 7 years, I realized I'm really good at what I do. And I really am the expert in this, that nobody else is really in my lane, because I'm doing a niche thing. And what do I do better than anybody else in the entire world? I do this, kindergarten masterclass. And so I started to really gain a lot of confidence, because people that I might have felt intimidated with, that I thought had more credentials or more experiences, they might have, but not in my area of expertise. Put anybody in the world, challenge me to this kindergarten masterclass, bring it on, because that's my level of confidence now. And it doesn't matter what level or what credentials, because I know what I do, and I know I do it well, and I know I get the same results no matter where I go. And the other thing that came up as you were talking is all about the reason children are my master teachers. They are helping me undo and unlearn all of the dukkha, all of the paradigms, and helping me to open up my heart, expand my powerful mind with my imagination, and come back to my inner child where the wounds maybe first started, and help me to heal my mind, my body, and my heart and my gut. So this is through them. They are my master teachers, and I say that they know how to forgive. They know how to play. They know how to persevere. A child will walk and fall 200 times and get back up. What adult do we know does that? They have no fear or limitations. Think about why the Olympic champions want to come in, and the coaches teach them at 4 and 5-year-olds, because as soon as you try to do them, those jumps and those flips at 16, we have fears in place. So I have been on this journey and asking these little spiritual souls to show me the way, just through demonstration and by vibration and conversation. And they are helping me to come back to the truth of who I am.
Thanks for listening. And did I promise too much? Tammy is such an inspiring person. And so I guess you understand why we just took this recording to show it here this week. And yes, again, give us feedback and questions. And if you want, we invite her again, and then we can ideally answer all the questions or talk about the topics you are most interested in. So have a wonderful time, a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and extraordinary life. I am Wolfgang Sonnenburg, and looking forward to meet you next week. This was another episode of Winspiration, Wisdom and Information to support you getting out of illusions, false identifications, limiting beliefs. We all have the power and potential to be more, do more, have more, give more. Reality is what is possible in the universe, and the best is yet to come. If you want to dive deeper into possibilities of creating the extraordinary future, go to winspiration.global or to wolfgangsonnenburg.com. More information and some free downloads like the email program Dream Goals Reality or a copy of the book The Best Is Yet to Come can be found on the UK Health Radio website under the Listen on Demand and Presenters section. Join us again next week on the Winspiration Show for more wisdom and information to create your extraordinary future.